All right. Okay. Assalamualaikum and good evening to everyone. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Aiman bin Azrisha. Everyone can call me Akid. I'm from the organization Android Solutions in Berhad. We are from the IoT solution company. So today I will presenting to you a virtual workshop about introduction to IoT and examples project. So let's begin with a little introduction about KLESFT. So what is KLESFT? It is the Kuala Lumpur Engineering Science Fair, an initiative with various programs and activities that aim to promote interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM, among the primary and secondary school students. So the objective of the KLESF are to enhance school students' interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and to enhance the awareness of the public on the roles and importance of STEM in socio-economic well-being and sustainable development. So I would like to host you a virtual workshop about introduction to IoT and the example projects. So, right, so let's begin. So this is the topic of the today for our session. We will start about what is IoT, and then we will proceed to the IoT uses and application, and then we will dive in to know the amount of the components in IoT and how the IoT system will work. After we have finished this topic, then we will go to the get start journey in IoT using Arduino, and also a sharing knowledge tips to everyone about what you need to do when you diving into the IoT journey. And lastly, we will have a showcase project session. And then once we have finished the showcase pushing the project, we will do a Q&A session. So let's begin. So what is IoT? Everybody knows that IoT is something that we call it. It's something that we see and we always heard in around the world. So what exactly IoT is? So if we refer to the Wikipedia or the reference we search on the Google, IoT means that a physical object with sensor and the processing ability of the software that connect and exchange the data with other device over the internet or the communication of the networks. So let me simplify it to you. So how IoT actually do? IoT is very simple. If you know about how can you control, uh, turn off the light on off through the phone. So that is example of the IoT, or we oftenly kita selalu panggil dia sebagai smart device lah. So let's take an example. The example simple IoT application that is around us. So this is a smart home. What is smart home? So in the smart home we have a yeah. So in the smart home we have a things like how to we can control the appliance of the electrical. Let's say like let's say things like we can control the how we can switch off the aircon, switch off the fan through the phone, or we use the things like, I'm pretty sure everyone knows, it's called Google Home. So that is among of the example of the IoT. All right, so let's get to know more the origins about IoT. So you can see this is the person that found or coined the term about IoT. So who is this guy? This guy is famously known as a Kevish Aston. He is among of the MIT executive and the director of ID Labs. So this is Kevish Aston. He is the famously known as the father of IoT because podcast. Why? Because he is among of the person yang he is among the important person that coined the term about how IoT is, or he described the how Internet of Things technology are. So IoT phrase has been exist since 1999, but the fact that we check is the IoT application has been existed since 1980s. So let's say an example that IoT application that existed since 1980s is among of them is the ATM machine. So whenever we go to the bank, we want to withdraw the cash, the ATM machine is among of the IoT application that is exist until now. So this is the type of the IoT uses and applications that is available for you, that is live around us. So we can find this type of IoT application around us, every in our daily life. So we can see there's the industrial sector in example like smart factory or the smart factory that contain a robotics and an automation system that can produce an items or equipment autonomously. And then we have the automotive and logistics sector. We can see an autonomous vehicle. Let's take an example. A simple example is like a Tesla car. So Tesla car is among of the IoT application that is available or exists in automotive sector. And then we go to the smart farming. This smart farming is very popular topic in IoT. So whenever we heard about IoT, we will surely heard about the smart farming sector. So this is a smart farming system. So we can see that in the smart farming, it has things like we can monitor the smart farm. Example, ladang anggur or a palm oil plantation without having a lot of workers. Instead, we use a sensors that sense or observe the plant growth and monitoring. And then we have the smart cities or the smart homes also. So this is smart cities. And smart home, we can see this is example of smart cities, how we make the city smarter. And the smart cities also refer to the an application in which most of the city is equipped with a lot of technologies that helping the residents in the urban area. And then we have a smart home. Smart home is a very straightforward example. Let's say you have a Google Siri, right? Google Home and the Siri is Apple. And we use the Google Home to control our home, like our home fan and aircon and so on, by using Google Home. Or we voice over to them. Let's say example, hey Google, turn off the light. So that is example of a smart home application. And then we go to this environment. Environment is among of the popular application in IoT. So let's say like in IoT we have a system yang we call a system that can sense or that can observe keadaan banjir dekat a few certain states. So and then we have it has list something like forest fire detection, illegal logging, or even we can track the animal using IoT. And then we have a retail sector. So retail sector, if anyone have heard about the Amazon, the currently trending topics about Amazon store, in which there's no cashier, so there's no cashier, no workers at all in the store. We just pick and buy the item without going through the cashier. So that is example of the IoT in the retail, or we call it a smart retail in there. And then we go to the consumer. In consumer, we have a lot of people. In an example, like we have, if anyone have a iWatch or smartwatch, that is an example of IoT in which the smartwatch that we wear is linked to our phone, right? So that's an example. Like the smartwatch can monitor our heartbeat, our blood rate, and so on. And then we have lastly is the healthcare application. What's in that side the healthcare is example like how we can you can monitor the patient through remotely. We have a system that can alert the doctor from over the distance and so on, right? So this is example of the smart healthcare for the sector. Let's give a simple example. If we have some kind of a smartwatch that can watch the heartbeat of the patients. It is a simple example that we can simplify for everyone to understand. So this is among of the example of the application in IoT, the smart home. So that's what I have explained earlier. The smart home, we can control everything in our home, starting from the light until to the aircon, or even in some cases we can control our CCTV also. And then we have a smart city also here. The smart city is about it's all about how can we manage the smart city, the city in much manageable way using the technology. And then we have a smart healthcare here also to observe and to watch how the healthcare, how can we monitor the patient efficiently, and we can also reduce the workload of the workers. So let's proceed to the components of the IoT. So this is the essential topics that everyone need to know about. In order to know how IoT works, we need to know what is inside the IoT system. So these are the components of IoT. There's a four categories, but if we search on Google or any other resources, the components of IoT can be varied. But in this presentation, I will show to you a simplified version of what are the components in the IoT. So the first one, we start with the devices or the sensor. So this is the physical device. Example like I give you a simple example. It's something like a smartwatch, right? So the smartwatch is a device and also a sensor. And then secondly is the connectivity. Connectivity is referred to how we can how the device or the sensor are connected to the internet. So in IoT, we have a lot of type of connectivity that is available around them. So let's say example is we have a Bluetooth, we have a Wi-Fi, and we have cellular networks and many others. So there's others advanced technology communication like LoRa for long range communication, Zigbee for smart home application, so on. So in this case, in the smartwatch, in smartwatch, I firmly believe most of the smartwatch has a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi available that can be connected to the internet. So that is an example of the for the smartwatch scenario. And then the third part is the data processing. So data processing is how we can collect the data and analyze them. So let's say the smartwatch, we gather the heartbeat data from the patients or from the persons, right? So those data we want to translate them into something that is meaningful. Let's say example the data that we have for the heartbeat, right? Let's say if the reading is too high, then what it will be means. If the reading is too low, what it could be means, right? So that is example of the data processing. In the data processing, there's a lot of stages on how the data can be determined and analyzed. And then lastly, we go to the IoT platform. So this is the complete cycle of the IoT component. So what is IoT platform? IoT platform is something like if everyone heard about Blink or ThinkSpeak, that is an example of IoT platform. So IoT platform is a platform or a software that help to interface the data and also to visualize the data to the user. Let's say like if everyone familiar with the lot of dashboard that like some lot of colorful graph and so on. So that is example of the IoT platform that is being used in IoT application. So how IoT system would work? So this is a simple Internet of Things life cycle. So the first thing the IoT device will do is they will collect the data from the sensors. So let's say I'm collecting a temperature data and humidity in the rooms. So those data I collected will be sent over to the internet. So in order to send over to the internet, I will use the Wi-Fi. So this is where we go to communicate. So the communicate is how can we send the data? We can ensure the device to be connected to the internet. So let's say we use a Wi-Fi as a connectivity or as the connection. So that is a preliminary example for the data collection. And then from there we go to the analyze. So how can we, by the data that we have collected, we will analyze them. How to determine what can be done when the data reading is like this or like that. Let's say example for the temperature data we collected. So the temperature data shows that the reading in this room is 35 degrees Celsius. What does it mean? It means hot, right? So this is where the last part we will do, the act part. So what the action will do is, let's say example, if the temperature is too high, then we will turn on the fan. If the temperature is too low, then we will turn off the fan. That's an example of the act. So the way of the internet, the IoT life cycle is a device, satu device tu, we collect the data. Those data that we collected will be sent over to the internet. So in order to do that, we will use the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or any kind of communication protocol yang ada or that is available in for the device. Once we have sent them over to the internet, what the next step will do is to processing them. So when we process them, in order to processing them, this we will do using some certain application. So the analysis part will do is how can we determine the data that we collected could be bring any meanings to us. So the set example is like temperature. So if let's say the reading temperature is too high, so that would means that it has to be something in which if the temperature is too high, then that would mean the room is too hot. So what happened when we know that the room is too hot? This is where we go to the action part. In this action part, we will instruct the system to turn on the lamp, turn on the fan, or turn on the aircon. So that is an example of the IoT life cycle. Alright, so let's get started to the IoT. This is the next topic that we will talk about. So getting started in the IoT projects. So what we need to have in order to begin the IoT journey, it's a very simple, straightforward for everyone to understand. So the first thing we need to have is a laptop or a computer, just enough a simple laptop. And then we need to install them a software that we call an Arduino IDE. And then we need to have a microcontroller, and I will explain the later part about the microcontroller. And then the last part is the sensor that we need to have together in order to begin our journey in IoT or to do a simple IoT projects. Let's proceed to Arduino IDE. So what is exactly Arduino IDE? So Arduino IDE is a software that helps you to program the Arduino or any other microcontroller that you have using a C++ programming language. Right? So Arduino IDE is a software that helping you to program or give instruction to the Arduino how to act and what to do with it. Right? So let's go to the next part. So what is a microcontroller? So let's give an example. So microcontroller is same like a computer, but it's much more smaller compared to the normal computer laptop that we seen around us today. But this mini computer, or we call it microcontroller, is same. It can behave and act same like the normal computer that have. Let's say example to but it has a specific task that it can do. The task can be depend on us. We can instruct them what they could do and they shouldn't do. For example, like control the lights. So this is the inside of the microcontroller. So it's very similar with the normal computer. Every microcontroller has a brain or a chip, we call it. So inside the chip, we have a CPU, we have the storage memory, and then we have the RAM, and then we have the clock. But additionally, in microcontroller, we have a input output pin for them to control the sensor and actuator. So I will introducing to you about Arduino. So these are the type of Arduino that are available on the market. You guys can also get one for your own. Let's say example like Arduino Uno, Arduino Nano, or Arduino Mega. That three of them are commonly available in the market. So where can you get this? You can buy most of them from maybe from a website like Shopee or Citron and many others. These are the among of the example sensor and actuator that everyone could purchase through online or through the shop. Let's say example that. So there's a lot of number of sensor and actuators that are available for you to do a simple IoT projects. So if you notice, this is the blue one, the blue square shape. This is we call it a DHT11 sensor. So DHT11 sensor is a temperature and humidity sensor. It is a sensor that sense a temperature and humidity around them. Right? So it is a useful sensor that we can use to do a project or IoT project that relate to ambience monitoring. And then we have a flat sensor. So flat sensor is same like a pressure sensor. So the flat sensor is same is a sensor that sense the flexibility of the objects. And then we have a touch sensor. So what is touch sensor? Touch sensor is a sensor that we simply just touch them and then we return a value to the Arduino. Right, so there's a lot of other sensor, but most of the popular sensor that we can found in in the Google or any IoT project is the DHT11 sensor, the blue one, and then we have the ultrasonic sensor. Ultrasonic sensor is also among of the popular sensor that we see. So what ultrasonic sensor do is it detect the range of the object over the distance. And then we have a PIR motion sensor. So PIR motion sensor is a sensor that detect the the presence of someone in at a one place. And then we have a soil moisture sensor, and then we even have an alcohol sensor to detect someone's person alcohol reading. And then the soil sensor is to sense the soil wetness, the soil moisture, if the soil is dry or the soil is wet. So this is the extra tips for you for everyone to get started with. So we have a simulation software that can be used for everyone to try in case you don't have any Arduino or sensors to begin with. So this is a software or a website that is called Tinkercad. So Tinkercad offer you a simulation for Arduino in which you can do a simple Arduino projects like let's say like control the LED or display a simple text on the LCD monitor and so on. So if you guys have any questions so far, you can ask me at this moment. I guess if no one have any question, we can take a short break for 5 minutes, and then we will return back for the project showcasing topics.
Nak tahu kelajuan peranti pintar dalam 5G? Di MMU ada jawapannya. Nak tahu bagaimana kandungan kreatif dan perniagaan atas talian dikuasai? Di MMU ada jawapannya. Nak tahu bagaimana cyber security dan undang-undang berfungsi? Di MMU ada jawapannya. Semua itu dan banyak lagi ada di Multimedia University kerana MMU ialah anda menerajui masa hadapan digital. Layari mmu.edu.my.
Alright, we have returned from our short break. So let's go to the final topics, which is to showcase to you guys about the example of IoT projects. So there's a two IoT project that you guys can follow, and after I have finished the showcase topic, then we will go to the sharing tips about where to begin and how to begin your IoT journey. So this is an example of project showcase that is done. This is a simple smart farming project. So if you notice, there's a blackboard here. So this is we call it a non-MCU. So non-MCU is same things like Arduino, except that non-MCU it has the Wi-Fi on it. So compared to Arduino don't have Wi-Fi have that is built in on themselves, but the non-MCU have the Wi-Fi capability, which means that we can connect to the internet directly with this microcontroller. So this is a simple smart farming project that is done. A simple smart farming project that observe the temperature and humidity and also the soil moisture. So notice this blue chip, the blue square. This is the DHT11 sensor, and then there's a five probes, which is the soil moisture sensor that we use to sense the soil moisture. Let's say if the soil is dry or the soil is wet, and so on. And then we have another smart home project. We can control the lights, the fan using the ESP8266 or the no MCU and using the Blink application. So this is a simple smart home control project. We are using the Blink application. This is the Blink. The Blink here is an apps. It's a simple apps that we can create for our IoT projects, in which there is a very simple, straightforward setup. We just set up adding the button and widgets, and we can control them using our phones. So in this project, we can control the lamps and the fan also. So in our hardware, we have a no MCU and also a relay module. So the relay module we use is to control the light and the fans. So this relay are connected to the no MCU. So this no MCU has internet connection to the Blink, so we can controlling the no MCU and the fan using the Blink apps. So this is some of the tips that I can share to you about where to begin and what to begin in your IoT journey. The first thing is to follow any example existing projects. So if we do a Google search and YouTube, there's a lot of resources and references that we can follow. But I would like to recommend to everyone three websites that is among of my favorite to do my IoT projects. Right. So the first website we have here is Hackster.io. So Hackster.io is among of the active community website that constantly upload and update IoT project tutorial. So just simply the website name is Hackster.io here. So what you can do in the Hackster and IO is there's a lot of experiment that we can do and follow with them. Say like temperature monitoring, and then a simple Raspberry Pi weather station, or we can even do the space station tracking using the RT Track Studios. So this is among of the tutorial that available in Hackster.io, you guys can further dive more in this website and search what kind of project that you want to follow. Second website is the website that provided by Arduino itself, the Arduino Project Hub. So this is a simple as a collection of IoT project that use Arduino board. Let's say like an example is a cat feeder here, even like even something like a puzzle box, or we can even communicate with our plan using the Arduino. So Arduino Project Hub is among of my favorite. The reason is because let's take an example, smart feeder cat, right? Pavlov cats with Arduino. It's because this website it state clearly if we want to do this project, what kind of components do we need to have. They even give us the resources on where to buy these components given. And then it also state that what kind of software that they use. So in this example, it use the Arduino IoT and also the Arduino IDE. This is some of the story that they tell us to whatever or us about what their project's about. They even give a simple example. They even give you a getting started guide on how to do this project. So in this case, so it show us how to setting up the Arduino cloud, what to do with it, and they even provide the hardware sketch on connection, how to connecting those components, how to connect your buzzer or your LED to the Arduino. Right, so and among of them, other than that, also they provide you the code, the source code that we can copy and paste to our laptop to give a try. So this is the source code part in which you can even download them, and this is the schematic part that you can follow how to connecting those sensors and Arduino in order to begin the project and or follow the project. This is the same thing with the Hackster.io. We can also the Hackster.io also give the same things in which we can see how the connection circuit need to be done, what kind of software that we need to have, and what kind of the components and sensor that we need to have also. So it even provide the source code and schematics on getting started to follow these projects. So say this is an example, the schematics diagram. It uses a microcontroller from Raspberry Pi. I'm pretty sure everyone know about Raspberry Pi, famously known for their super small computer that can act like a normal computer. And then the last website that you guys can follow is the Instructables. It was provided by the Tinkercad. So these are the website that is provided by them. So the Instructable website is created by the same company that create the Tinkercad. So in these Instructables also they provide you the tutorials and projects on how to do the IoT. And then the second tips in the IoT is ask the right person and ask and get in touch with the communities around you. That will this is important is to ensure and to make sure that whatever we learn is correct and can be done, and maybe someone can help you to guide what to do if you want to do this project and so on. Lastly, the last tip for everyone to follow is to start a simple things first. Famously word we say is start small, right? Just start the beginnings part, the beginning chapter first. Get to know what kind of how the Arduino actually work. Get to know how the coding is work and so on. So the best tip that I can share with everyone is to start the simple project is we just follow an existing example project that is available on the Google. So we can follow the example project that I have provided, the three website, the Hackster.io, Instructables, and Arduino Project Hub. Those website could really be a something head start for you guys on how to do a simple IoT projects. So when we start simple things, it will be something easier for us to understand what to do, and also to keep us learn on how the things is actually works. Let's say the example the Arduino, how the Arduino communicate with the sensors and so on. So before we mark the end of the chapter is I would like to say that with IoT we can make things in our life much more easier. Because why? Because with IoT we can reduce or we can even make our lifestyle become better, and we can even create something that can solve the problem that happen around us, maybe even in the community level or in the global level. So that's it from me. So thank you for listening. If you guys want to contact me, feel free to contact me through the email or through the LinkedIn that I have provided. Right, thank you. So we will go to the Q&A session. Feel free to ask any question about IoT and I will surely answering them. All right, so since there is no any question asked, so let's end this part. Right, so I would like to thank you to the organizer, the KLESF and the MIT for the invitation and give me the opportunity to share the knowledge to everyone about the IoT. I would hope that everyone would have an interest in the IoT development, and I wish all the best for everyone in trying the IoT projects. Right, so best tip from me is start the simple thing first and follow the example project to get started. Right, so thank you from me and have a good day everyone. All right.
Nak tahu kelajuan peranti pintar dalam 5G? Di MMU ada jawapannya. Nak tahu bagaimana kandungan kreatif dan perniagaan atas talian dikuasai? Di MMU ada jawapannya. Nak tahu bagaimana cyber security dan undang-undang berfungsi? Di MMU ada jawapannya. Semua itu dan banyak lagi ada di Multimedia University kerana MMU ialah anda menerajui masa hadapan digital. Layari mmu.edu.my.